Even if we over the grown stuff, though we have fun, tax collectors getting closer, still we have. There's no
Okay, it's time for Yogi and the Beach Man. I'm Jim the Yogi,
I'm Rick Beach, the Beach Man.
and today we got a special guest, Chris Vogelsang, a certified hypnotherapist and ET experiencer.
What do
And
you mean by ET experiencer, Jim? Let's clarify.
she's had experiences with extraterrestrials, but we'll let we'll get
I just want to
clarification
know
from
what the
her.
term meant.
Extra ET?
No,
ET.
ET. What'd you say? ET
Oh,
experiencer.
oh, yes.
I wanted to know what that part meant. What does it
Someone
mean to
that's
have an ET experience?
yeah.
Because if I saw an ET, if I saw a UFO, does that mean I'm an ET experiencer? Probably not.
No, there's a difference between a UFO and an ET.
I suppose there would be. One's a movie,
Now,
and one's a
if you could see
band,
through the window,
and one's a band.
if you could see through the window of the UFO and you saw a little,
Then you would be an experiencer.
then you could see them.
Okay,
and
I'm game with
experience it.
that.
All right. And she's an advocate for other people who have had ET experiences. So before we bring her on, how are you doing, Rick?
Just busy. My day blew up this morning.
Yeah, making some money.
Well, I'm trying. My down here in South Florida, I am a solar guy, and so I all of a sudden just got busy this morning. But and then I had a gig last night. Band finished up about 11, got packed up by midnight, was home by midnight, and then you gotta. It's so hard after a gig to just come home and go to bed. You're like wound up, and so anyway, so I ended up hanging up, staying up to like 1:30, then had to get up and head up to Englewood. Took about an hour drive, 40-minute drive,
You're boring me.
and still made it back. Well, you're distracting me.
I'm teasing. I'm texting our guest because
Did she reply yet?
yeah, she's on. We're good. So we'll be bringing Chris Vogelsang on in a second.
Oh, good. Looking
But
forward to meeting with her.
yeah, yeah, this is really. I'm just piques my curiosity. I'm really interested in this. So um,
I mean, I'm not. We'll see what she says. I'll approach this with an open mind, but I'm kind of
I think
I'm
it's
somewhat of a skeptic, but we'll see what's
listen
going on here.
everybody a little bit. I would think, and I would think that's why it's hard for somebody to come out in the open about something like this. Yeah, I mean,
Well,
and who's not going to think you're crazy? You know,
I mean, I reserve judgment for that till after our conversation.
sounds good. You're gonna ask me about my week, Rick?
No, how's your week, JP?
Oh man, it's been good. Finishing up things around the house, which is really nice. Getting to that point where it feels like things are kind of where we want them. And playing a lot of pickleball, and I'm playing in a round robin Saturday with higher level guys. So I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
Should be, yeah. Really digging pickleball in this
I
area.
just got invited for free 18 holes of golf Sunday morning, so looking
Ooh,
forward to that. At a really nice course.
that's always nice, and free is worth saving for.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
It's my favorite. It's my favorite kind of beer too.
Hey, should we bring Chris on?
Yeah, she's around.
All right, let's do it. Okay, Chris, are you there?
I am.
Oh, perfect. Welcome to Yogi and the Beach Man. We're so excited to have you on our program today. I appreciate you.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you for taking the time to be with us. So you're a certified hypnotherapist, ET experiencer, and advocate for ET experiences. So how did you get into hypnotherapy?
Yeah, so I got into hypnotherapy back in about 2017. I received my first hypnosis, and it was for medical reasons, actually. I had I was having terrible breakout. I've always battled skin issues, so I've had eczema, and I was really struggling at that point. And a friend of mine offered me a free hypnosis session. I had no idea that hypnosis could be used for something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And after I think it was 2 to 3 sessions, my skin cleared up and I haven't had any problems with it since then. And then I used it for some other things like fear and anxiety and then even driving anxiety. But after experiencing what I did with my skin and kind of getting my life back, um, I decided to become certified and I want to just share it with as many people as I can. It's a great healing tool. And I mean, it's truly life changing and it's natural. We all have the power within us.
Now, do you feel that everybody can be hypnotized, or there's some people it just doesn't work for?
Yes, I do. In fact, we all go in and out of hypnosis every single day. So sometimes it's driving, falling in love, you can be in hypnosis. But we all go in and out, especially like when we're going to sleep. So we slip into the theta state about 30 minutes before sleep. And then we're actually still in theta 30 minutes after we wake up.
Yeah. I've actually done breathing techniques that put you into theta wave state, which is pretty interesting.
Nice. Yeah, those are very, very nice. I'm a fan.
I asked because I went to one of those hypnotist shows before,
Mhm.
and they brought me up on the stage because I volunteered, and they said, "Oh no, you're not susceptible. You don't work. Go sit down." So I don't know.
So you just may not have been super suggestible. They
Okay.
typically look for a certain type, someone who's kind of already in hypnosis most of their day,
Hmm.
and that must not be you. So,
Yeah, that
Well,
makes
my daughter, about 5 or 6 years ago, we went to a comedy club here, and there's this guy named Rich Guzzi. He's a local, or not a local, he's a national touring hypnotherapist comedian, and he takes 6 or 7 people up, like Jim just said. But my daughter went up there as a total skeptic. She's a very scientific, analytical, logical type person. She goes up on stage, and 45 minutes after she's up there dancing around and acting the fool, it was funny. It was really funny. She's like, "I told you that wouldn't work." And she had no recollection of the last 45 minutes of her, and until she saw the DVD of her on stage, had no clue that she had done that. So she was
that's
so
hilarious.
so she was super suggestible, I would assume, because she got suggested into rapping in Chinese and
Oh my god.
laying eggs, and it was just funny.
I'd love to see that DVD.
Yeah, and that
Wow.
Comes here local.
once or twice a year we'll go. It's
That sounds
funny.
good.
So I'm a believer, although I've never personally been hypnotized. I'm certain that it has validation, both in medically and for entertainment purposes.
Yeah, yeah, it's pretty magical. I mean, it's the subconscious mind actually makes up at least 88% of the entire mind. So that's where we hold our belief systems. Um,
What makes up
Everything,
80? Say that again, please.
it's 88%,
What
at
what,
least 88% of the entire mind.
what is?
The subconscious mind, she
Oh,
said.
the subconscious mind. I didn't catch that first part. Okay. Well, that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's where, our fears, our belief systems, it basically runs the show.
Hmm.
Yeah. So that's where all the programming is. So, excuse me. It's protected by the critical mind. So all you really have to do is just overload the critical mind with message units, which we're already receiving as of now, even from our own body. And once it gets overloaded, it wants a way out and it just breaks open and boom, right down into the subconscious mind. This is why it's so important to write your affirmations, be gentle with yourself just before you go to sleep because it's open. So, don't watch scary movies. This is a great time I always write my affirmations before I go to sleep and let it ruminate in there. And then you begin to rewire the frequency of your subconscious mind. And that brings in also the law of attraction.
Maybe everybody knows this, but I'm wondering if there's somebody listening that's going, "What does she mean affirmations?"
Yeah. So affirmations is, you can, I'm a fan of being a co-creator of your life rather than just being at the effect with cause and effect. So this is one of the ways that we can take charge. So for example, you can, if you're working on money, on abundance, you can write something to the effect of, and do it. So let's say someone's working on money, on abundance, and you would write as if you're already receiving it. Okay. We don't want to go, running after it. We want to live as if we are receiving it. So it would be money flows to me easily and often from various sources.
Okay. I've done a lot of work with affirmations and positive thinking, so I just wanted that to be out there for those that are listening that might not be sure what you mean.
Yeah, no, it's great. And then, whatever you're working on, maybe someone's working on weight loss, you know,
Hmm.
the weight melts off of me. Something, whatever their goal is, they can work for something like that. But then eventually with the repetition, it's going to sink in.
I think I might
It
need to
actually
use that
doesn't,
one.
it doesn't take long. I started doing it and 2 days later, I received a raise at work.
Hi.
Yeah, it works.
I'm pretty familiar with the terminology and whatnot, but I've never actually done it. But it's certainly something that only takes a few minutes and can get your head on straight at a good time of part of your day. So I think I might
Absolutely.
take you up on that starting tonight.
Awesome. Awesome. I'm excited to hear how it goes, if you don't mind sharing in the
Well, this
future.
podcast kind of pivoted from this is kind of our second iteration. And for the past few months, Jim kind of pivoted into the health and wellness space, which I'm not really big in, and which he has a lot more experience. He's a, what, labor and delivery nurse, Jim?
Yeah,
So,
I've been a
so
labor and delivery nurse for the last 4 or 5 years, almost 5 years, and then before that, I had my own yoga, studio and was teaching yoga and yoga teacher training and all the modalities that go with it, so
I love it.
but
Very
I'm
nice.
not any of those things. I don't have any experience in that. It's not really in my interest, but recently uh, it really has been piquing my interest. And the more people that we've been meeting, like you and other specialists and doctors and physicians and hypnotherapists now, it's really it's really helped me broaden my just broaden my whole mind as far as what's out there to for us to stay healthy. Because we get so many negative inputs from every source all day, every day, especially these things right here.
Exactly.
and for those
Yes.
that couldn't see him hold up his cell phone,
Yeah.
that's what he did, he held up his cell phone, so we'll have him doing Reiki in no time.
What's that?
I'm sorry?
I said, "We'll have him doing Reiki in no time."
Oh, that would be wonderful.
I
Reiki
have
is
no
great.
what is Reiki?
It's healing energy that you use from your hands. Your body gives off energy, and it helps your energy to align, and you become healthier.
Okay. Just
So,
email me on that one.
so Chris, we talked as like a pre-talk before the show, and you were telling me that um, your ET experience came from hypnosis. Is that true? Why don't you tell us about it? How's that?
Sure. Yeah. So hypnosis actually helped me tap into my ET experiences.
Hmm.
It helped to shed some light on um, what I was unsure of. I knew that I had an ET experience,
Okay.
um, but you know, I, I don't remember what had happened. So if you want, I can take you back to my conscious contact, or
Yeah. Was this like an abduction or just a meeting or?
yeah, it was. I was taken. Um, so it was on the cusp actually of my 13th birthday.
Okay.
And I was, laying in bed, and I was, talking to my boyfriend on the phone, and he had fallen asleep on the phone. It was late. It was about midnight, and I wanted my room redone for my birthday, so I didn't have any blinds or curtains on the windows. I grew up out in the country, and, so we didn't have any neighbors that were super close. The neighbors that we had were family. So it was the summertime, about 12:30 in the morning. All the lights in my bedroom were off, and only my little, like, 13-inch TV was on. And I was getting ready to hang up the phone. So as I'm laying in my bed, it's a day bed, I'm facing the window ahead of me. Okay.
Hmm.
And then I have a window. My bed is placed alongside of another window, and that's directly to my left.
Okay.
Um, Suddenly there was a bright yellow light. And I would say that you could compare it to like a yellow highlighter. That's about the color of the
Oh.
yellow. I'd say that best describes it.
Hmm.
It completely engulfed that window. It came in, it was so bright I couldn't see anything outside that window. Excuse me. So sorry. Um, and it took up every square inch of that window, and it was shining into my bedroom, and it completely lit up my entire room. Um, there was a mirror that was also reflecting that was placed in my bedroom that had already been in my bedroom. I could see even inside my closet. It was so bright. And as I wasn't scared, I was more curious. And as I looked down, I was frozen. By the way, I realized that I was frozen. The only thing that I could move was my eyes.
Mhm.
And I looked down at my right forearm, and even my skin was that yellow color. And then as soon as that happened, I heard a man's voice, very gentle, uh, very trusting. And he told me not to worry and that everything was going to be okay. And then I don't remember anything after that.
Oh, interesting.
The next thing I know, it's the next day. I wake up at about noon. I feel like I've been hit by a truck. And I remembered only what I just told you guys. So I asked, I was raised by my grandpa. I wasn't raised by my parents. I asked my grandpa if he heard anything, if he saw anything. He said no. I asked him to ask his brother who lived over across the field. Nothing. The dogs didn't bark. We had lots of animals. Nobody else was disturbed in the house. And I told him what happened. My grandpa was always very open minded and he listened to me, but didn't, he couldn't relate.
Mhm.
And so I quickly learned, and even as I spoke to a couple of other people about it, family members, and I don't think I even told very many close friends, I realized that it was something that not everyone experienced and it was just me. So I didn't really go after anything. I quickly realized I couldn't get any answers on it. And um, I kind of kept it to myself for over 25 years. So fast forward to
So did you
it was,
repress that memory or just never talk about it?
I just never talked about it. Over the years, if I was close with someone,
Mhm.
I would talk about it. I would ask them about it if they ever experienced anything like that. And the answer was just no, no. Deep down, um, I chalked it up to either be an angel, guardian angel, or it was an ET experience, an alien abduction. I knew I wasn't dreaming. I knew that it happened. Um, and in the following months, by the way, after this contact experience, I had terrible headaches. I had terrible migraine headaches. Um, I had nosebleeds and I would have seizures from time to time.
And you weren't susceptible to any of that prior.
Correct. Correct. My menstrual cycle would go missing for months at a time.
Wow.
And then when it would come back, it wouldn't come back was not regular by any stretch. It was extremely painful, uh, near fainting type of pain. And then it would go missing again.
Mhm. What type of seizures were you having? Like grand mal or
I don't really know what kind of seizures I was having. I was taken, my mom, she took me to the doctor and they did some sort of test or brain scans. They didn't come up with anything, so they wanted to do something more in depth. So maybe you're familiar. I don't know, but at the time, again, this is early 90s.
okay.
Okay, this is probably 1993-ish at this point when I'm going to the doctor. It could be early 94.
Mhm.
Um, we went to a doctor and there were these two long prongs,
Mhm.
and the doctor stuck them up my nose. And it was so painful. I didn't even let her finish
Wow.
and I never went back.
I don't think they do that now. So
Good.
did somebody share like what's happening when you're having these seizures? Were you on the ground shaking or your eyes just moving back and forth? What?
Um, that so I would fall
Mhm.
and it was shaking. I don't know if my eyes were open or closed, but I know that I couldn't see.
Okay.
Um,
So involuntary shaking on the floor and
right.
okay. That sounds like a grand mal seizure.
Go- Okay.
Okay.
So no, you keep you don't talk about this or anything for 20 plus years.
Right.
And then what changed in your life that you wanted to open up about this experience?
So I began I began listening to Coast to Coast. I don't know if you guys are familiar with
I
that show.
I referenced Art Bell last week in our last
Okay.
podcast, so yeah,
Yes.
I'm familiar.
And I'm not.
Yeah. Well, my cousin actually stopped by. I hope you do check it out. It's a great show to listen to. It's very long, but it's a great show. But anyway, my cousin stopped by my house one day back in it was 2018, and she was like, "Hey, I need to give you this login information." She had, bought access to the show. And I checked it out. It was really cool. I began to listen, and they also some of the areas that they cover is alien abduction.
Mhm.
And I was identifying with what those guests were saying. It was hitting home. I got it. And then it just began to awaken uh, a desire to
Well, it
learn
must have
more.
been a little freeing for you to find, oh, wait, I'm not the only one. I'm not imagining.
Right.
I talk myself into something. Wait a minute, someone else has this experience, and maybe I need
Yeah,
to have some. Yeah, to instantly just have from no support or be alone in this to having wow, kind of an instant support group you didn't know existed.
exactly. It was very validating. And I didn't feel alone. Um, but it was also triggering a lot of fear. And I began to move into a place where I wasn't very, productive in my life. I began to not go to sleep until after 6 AM. I didn't feel safe. I was so scared of what was going to happen. I was praying all the time because I had this realization. I had this realization that they were potentially, at the time, potentially treating us the same way we treat animals out in the wild. So we go out, find an animal, um, you know, bring it into the lab, do some tests on it, tag it, set it free, and then go check on it. And that's what I felt like. That's what I realized was happening. So, um,
So
that's when I,
you had this fear of being revisited, so to speak.
yes, because I realized why would they do this just one time? There's a reason for it. If they did it once, they're probably still doing it.
Mhm.
And
So,
over the years, and I mean, would never even claim to be knowledgeable, barely knowledgeable or an expert on this, but I have, you watch the TV shows and you come across these stories, and most of the people that, from just anecdotally that I recall, have been, hey, this happened to me two, three, four, seven times, and so I think that would be a pretty valid concern on your part. So,
yeah,
but has that anything like that manifested or?
I've had a lot of experience since then. I think that hypnosis helped to begin to open up the area of my mind, the doorway of my mind, where things began to happen for me in conjunction with my cousin coming in saying, "Hey, you have to listen to this." And then as I'm listening to it, um, they ran a commercial and they said, "Hey, if you think you've been taken, if you think that you've been abducted, please write into the show. We want to hear your story." And I felt like that was my ticket. And I immediately sent an email to the show and I knew that they would pick me. The production manager called me within about 2 weeks, did an interview over the phone. And then the producer called me. And in February of 2020, I flew out to LA and did a show for the Travel Channel where I did a regression with and hypnosis, of course, someone that was MUFON approved. And we were able to uncover what happened to me that night.
And you've got all our interest and curiosity piqued. What happened?
Um, so what happened was now let's go back to right, the light comes in the room.
Mhm,
I'm frozen.
mhm.
I hear this voice. And so now I hear this voice. I don't hear anything. So at that moment, there I'm so paralyzed. I'm laying in bed on my back. And to the right of me, there are three grays. One's tall, and he is um, standing right at my bedside, looking over at me. And then there are two grays in the back. So they're like standing in front of my closet. They're shorter. I would say maybe about 3 to 4 feet tall. The taller gray, I would say, he was upwards of maybe 5 feet tall, 5, maybe 6 feet tall. The shorter ones were in the back. They weren't doing anything. It was just like they were escorts in a way. So the taller gray is standing over me, and he's standing like nose to nose, staring at me in my eyes. Um, I don't really know what he was doing or the purpose of that, but I do gather that it is an exchange of information.
Mhm.
Okay. The next thing I know is that I am in the air and I'm levitating out of my bedroom, feet first, through that wall that houses the window where the yellow light was coming through. So I'm actually partially going out the window. The right side of my body's partially going out that window. Most of me is going through the wall. How is this happening? I don't know exactly, but it seems that every particle of my body, every cell is able to separate just enough to get me through that. Nothing's breaking or anything like that. So I go out and up into this ship that was directly outside of my house, just hovering about treetop height. And I get up into the ship, and it seems like at that time I am now upright, standing, and I'm in that portion of the ship that's for like, it's where they navigate the ship. That's to my understanding,
Mhm.
almost like the cockpit. There are 2 corridors. One is to my left. It's very long. Um, I just got the sense that I wasn't to go down there. It wasn't for me. And, then there's another corridor, and it's straight ahead, and that's the corridor that I went down. By the way, the ship is humongous, huge, much larger than what it looks from the outside. Um, that's what I remember about that area. So I guess, I mean, I was escorted down that corridor that was straight ahead. I don't remember going down that corridor. The next thing I know is that I am laying on like a metal bed, like a slab,
Mhm.
and the grays that were in my bedroom were now down by my feet. Um, and so now there's another ET, and that ET is actually a he's probably about 9 feet tall, a large praying mantis. It's a mantis. And he's green. He's like a light green. And he is staring, he's doing the same thing that that tall gray was doing in my bedroom. He's staring right down nose to nose, looking me in the eyes. Um, he has like his eyes are like black, like pools of oil. They're very large, almond shaped. Um, and he is drawing out um my emotions. He knows everything about me. He knows me better than what I know myself. Like, he knows everything, every lifetime I've ever had. Um, I mean, he knows everything about me, and he's drawing my emotions out. And so in the session when I was in hypnosis, that was the information I was able to gather. That was the purpose of that abduction, or at least one of the purposes, maybe the sole purpose for that particular abduction. There are several agendas that the ETs have, but he was drawing my emotions out. And then that's I think that's it for that particular abduction. That's all I was able to gather from that experience. Coming out of hypnosis, I realized how important it is to master ourselves, Self mastery is absolutely so important. Don't identify too much with the emotion, honor the emotion. But, don't let yourself get too rattled, which is, it kind of goes down into why I live my life the way I live my life now. But yeah, so he was drawing that energy.
That's reason to be pretty scared of it happening again, I'd say. That sounds pretty crazy.
Yeah.
So after this happened, you become aware of it and the more detailed part of the experience. I mean, it sounds just playing off what you just finished saying. That's why you live your life the way you do today. So that obviously had a big impact on how you lived your life. What changes did that ha- end up making? Were those changes or that made you? Yeah, you know what I'm saying.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I meditate every day now. I I I don't identify with the emotion as much anymore. I try my best to live at the 0 point. The 0 point being, don't put too much judgment on good or bad. It just is. Observe it. It is what it is. And I really own my space around me. And I do this in meditation. I ground myself down to the center of the earth. I spend as much time, and I've always loved nature, but now I make it a point to have my bare feet on the grass at least 10 minutes a day to really come into harmony with the heartbeat of the earth. I'm very mindful of my diet. I eat high vibration. And when I say my diet, it's not just what my food is, it's also my relationships. I am very cautious of who I allow into my life. I have a very lean diet. Um, I live just uh, as authentically as possible. And I do my best not to allow myself in any type of negative environment. It's really about taking charge, and not taking on other people's emotions. We do that often. I'm an empath,
Hmm.
and I
Yeah.
really was absorbing other people's heaviness. And my first hypnosis session back in 2017, before I even went down the ET route, I realized then how much I'd been carrying, and that wasn't even mine. Wasn't even mine. So, I live very mindfully, and I take charge of my happiness, and I do my best every day to grow my light. I spin my chakras every single day, and I come into alignment. And again, coming back to being a co-creator instead of being at the effect of the cause and effect. It's really changed my life dramatically. And I pursued, becoming certified in hypnosis so that I can help other people live more expansively as well.
Well, and the more I mean, I really love what you just said there because it really the way it kind of what I just took from what you just told us was that you really took accountability for your life. I'm and took the victimhood status and just tore that up. And I'm going to own my own shit, and that's the way it's going to be. And and when you think about all those things, your mental state, meditation, your diet, whether it's in relationships or just what you're putting in your body physically, I mean, every single one of those has a huge impact on your day mental health and physical health.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Thank you. I 2 years ago, almost exactly at this time, I became very ill, and, it's because I wasn't fully stepping into what into this role now, actually. I wanted to do hypnosis, and I wasn't fully believing in myself yet, and I was in a toxic relationship, and I was working at the post office, and it was very, very hard on me. And I was like, okay, this is the big change that I need to make. And I ended my relationship. I left the post office. I signed up for school. And I was just like, I'm owning this. So, and I've never been so happy, honestly. Like I'm in love with my life.
That's a beautiful
And
story.
you're probably in the minority.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. I mean, again, it's another reason for why I'm doing this work. I don't think that everyone realizes what they can do. And it's those belief systems, again, in the subconscious that we're so heavily programmed throughout our lives. And people program us, and they don't necessarily mean to. Society does, and they don't necessarily mean to. But when you really take a look within and you ask yourself, in meditation, is this true? Is this true? Can I actually not do this? And it turns out we can do anything that we want. We are born with everything that we have, and all of us have this light within, and we just need to know how to tap into it.
Hmm. Well said. I got a question. When you went out to LA and they shot the video, was that the YouTube video that is on your profile?
No, actually, that was the second show, what's on my profile.
Okay.
Um, and that was just a clip that I did from home. Um, Another person who does hypnosis, she reached out to me. She did a regression and she said, "Hey, would you like to be a part of this? If so, and I just did some recordings with my phone." But yeah, that's the second show. The first show, by the way, never made it to air. It
Okay.
went into proof in concept for 6 months where the producer and the whole team has to work on it. And then and then the channel says, "Well, do we want this or do we not want it?" They didn't want it. It was too long of a story in combination with another person that went out there with me. So that one didn't make it, but the one on my profile did make it. It's not just entirely about me. It's more about an agenda that I'm part of.
Hmm. And that video talks about women that are being abducted and then impregnated by ETs. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yeah. Yeah. Sure.
And is
So,
go ahead.
excuse me. So, sorry, my nose keeps itching. So that is that's the hybrid program. And it's, to my understanding, there are many. So in another hypnosis session, okay, that I did back, it was 2 years ago, the same person that reached out to me said, "Hey, do you want to be a part of this?" She did that regression for me. Um, there are, to my understanding, many races that are doing this. They
ET
they do,
races.
correct.
Okay.
There are many, yeah, races that will have a woman be pregnant. We don't have to carry full term. It doesn't take very long, and then they extract the zygote, and then they can take care of it after that. Until the baby is actually, born,
Hmm.
then we are reunited with the baby. And that seems to be for the sake of survival of the baby. The baby needs that contact with its mother and that human interaction. For how long that contact is needed, I am not sure. Um, but this can also happen with men. And I don't know as much about that, but I have heard stories about men having sex with ETs on ships, and also that their sperm is extracted and used.
Very interesting. Is this something that you've felt that's happened to you during your encounters?
Yes. Yes, it has. So it helps to explain um those missing periods that I had
Hmm.
back right when I was hitting puberty.
Okay.
Um and when I did that second hypnosis session for the sake of ETs, okay, because I've done hypnosis for many things, but the second session to find out more about my ET experiences, I was shown a wall of I guess they're fetuses. And it's like they're like tanks, and it's almost like an orangish fluid. I don't know if it's an orangish fluid or if it's an orangish light, but this wall of fetuses is huge.
Mm.
For where I was standing, that was for as far as I could see. Um, and it's also, to my understanding, that the purpose of at least some of these agendas is to, um, make sure that the races do not go extinct.
Theirs and ours, or just their
Both,
races? Both. Okay.
both, both.
And I thank you because I know that this is not easy for you to talk about. And I can tell there's some pain talking about it. Um, I just want to ask, so were you reunited with the baby?
I know that I have been reunited at least once, and and I know that because first, I just want to say that contact can happen a couple of ways. There can be the physical contact, like how I experienced in the story I just told. Um, that's physical contact. I left
Mm.
my house, right?
Yeah.
But there's also contact that they make in dreams. So I had a dream that I was on this ship, and there was it was almost like a nursery. And I was in this small room, and I was holding a baby, and the baby had like a tube coming out of it, and it was attached to a machine.
Mhm.
And
Like an
I was
umbilical cord?
um no, not quite. This is more of like something that they use to attach to the baby, like a machine. I don't know the purpose of it. Um and I don't remember even seeing the baby, but I
Okay.
remember holding the baby, feeding the baby with
Breastfeeding or
no, I think it was a bottle.
okay.
But I wasn't doing it right. And they had to come over and um, adjust me and show me how to do it.
Mm.
So that's all that I have on that. Um, but there are other people out there who have these contact experiences that have, more involved meetings of the child who is, maybe 5, 6 years old and walking and talking on their own. And then they meet, you know, I don't know if I have those experiences. I haven't explored them in hypnosis, but, and this experience wasn't in hypnosis. This was a dream. So yes, and it's possible for them to visit us like that as well.
So what's next for you? Where do you see the next chapter? You gonna take the hypnotherapist and expand off that, and just to continue helping people in that along those avenues with meditation and mindfulness, that kind of studies is where you're going here.
Yes. So I had this period of life where I wasn't very productive. It was before I started working at the post office, and I was living there, not going to sleep till after 6 a.m. and I wasn't functioning very well. I was letting fear run my life. And I have moved past that now. I'm on the other side, and I'm ready to help others. And so by doing that, I offer hypnosis to them to get in, find out what happened, start getting some answers, because one of the scariest things is the unknown, right? And then our mind it's not doing us any favors, it starts filling in the blanks.
All the what
So
ifs.
exactly.
Mm.
And that's where I was at. So I've been able to do great work to get out on the other side of it. And I'm trying to help others do the same. I'm currently working on a support group, putting together a support group where people can come. It's free, and it's going to be on Zoom. And, if they don't even want to turn their camera on, they don't have to turn their camera on. Um, they don't even have to reveal their names. It's a safe place for people to begin to just share their story. There's a lot of people like this that probably don't even believe in ETs that are having these experiences and maybe even denying it.
Mhm.
Some people are, deeply traumatized, and we need to work on that trauma. But I do not offer hypnosis just to ET experiencers. I offer hypnosis to anyone who's interested in improving themselves. I'm all about self improvement. And, just remember that my first session in hypnosis was not about ET experiences,
Yeah.
but eventually it did lead me there. And, I think it was something that was going to happen anyway, but to, working to get myself, those were the steps for me. Those are not always the steps for everyone, but that was that was my process for me. If you're interested, if someone, who's listening and they're having some strange dreams, maybe they're waking up with strange marks on their body, um, maybe they have missing time. If anyone who has a lot of question marks and there's some things going on and they want more answers, I would love to work with you. I would love to talk with you. You can reach me at my website, pathofblisshypnotherapy.com, excuse me. And my email address is on there, and, reach out to me. I would love to talk with you. I would love to work with you, and we can put the support group together and live more expansively and, start feeling better,
Yeah.
moving away from fear.
So
Yeah.
can you hypnotize someone like over a computer like this on a Zoom call? Or
Yes.
I would assume it would be best to be in the same room with someone. That's probably the most
No, you
preferred.
actually don't have to. So I do offer my hypnosis sessions on Zoom, and I record them. And that way the person can have them and they can listen to them again. Um, so ever since 2020 happened, right, everything's pretty
Mm.
much moved over to Zoom. Some people prefer to have in-person hypnosis, and that's fine. I'll do it whichever way you feel comfortable. Um, but yeah, it can be done on Zoom and recorded, and I'll send it to you and it's yours to keep.
Very nice. I do another question. You mentioned you've helped others. How many other ET experiencers have you met?
Oh, um, well, up until 2020, I didn't know that I known anyone who
Hmm.
was an experiencer. However, the person that I met out in LA who also went through it, his experience is very different. We're still friends. He's one of my best friends. But since then, I've met people in support groups.
Hmm.
And I can't think of anyone that I stay in constant contact with other than my friend out in LA who doesn't even live in LA. He lives in the Midwest.
Okay.
But I think that, so to answer your question fully,
Hmm.
I think that there's a lot of people who experience this that don't realize it.
Sure.
So I think there's a lot more people that I've met and I don't know that they're experiencers. You know
Hmm.
what I mean?
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we could be
And
experiencers and not know it.
True.
right. Right. And here's the thing too. They run in bloodlines. They don't just pick a person from a family. Our DNA,
Hmm.
our emotions are the currency of the universe. So there's nothing really special about me. This is happening to a lot of people. So I just happen to have that conscious memory that I finally explored, and it has opened up a whole new area of my life that I've taken on. Very passionate. I'm very passionate about this. So, I'm sure that my whole family, they're experiencers, but nobody has any memory of it.
Hmm. Very interesting. Well, I like where Rick was going with your future and what you were sharing about what you want to do with it, with helping others.
Yeah,
And I'm so you feel 100% that you can put me under hypnosis?
I do.
Okay. And you said you do past life regression?
I do.
Share a little bit about that because I'm really interested in doing past life regression. Because I
Yeah,
feel like I've had some insights into into past lives that, I'll give you an example. When I was a young child, well, probably not that young, probably middle school. Yeah, it's probably around middle school. Somehow I got a pair of moccasins. And my stepdad took me out to the woods, and I started walking down these trails with moccasins on. And I felt like I just felt in my inner being that one part of me was a Native American Indian at some point because I just kept having all these feelings and sensations like this isn't new to me. This is very much a part of my inner being of being on a trail, wearing some moccasins, and I felt like I should have a bow and arrow in my hand and chasing after game. It's and other experiences, but that was a very strong one that came really early to me.
yeah. I mean, it sounds like you're deeply rooted within that. And past life regression is, I mean, if you like, we can explore it sometime.
Mm-hmm.
Um, going back when I was able to get my skin healed, that was through past life regression.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he used on me. So I had a few lives where I died in fires. And I had a boiling pot of water fall on my face when I was a toddler in another life.
Mm-hmm.
It just all culminated and it hit me in this life. And that's why my face reacted the way that it did. I had a terrible breakout on my face. So, you can go back and it's great for healing the present because we do bring in trauma from those past lives, sometimes the death wound.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that will begin to show its face here. But what I like to do with my clients is have them set this intention of what they want to explore, if there's anything that they want to heal, any wisdom or anything like that. And I guide them through the entire process. Um, they take a look at themselves. Sometimes they will meet those people in regression that are basically part of their soul tribe and they know them here, and you have the opportunity to look into the eyes of the people that you see in regression. And it's a different face. Sometimes it's a different role. Sometimes a father could be a son or an uncle or a best friend. Um, but you bring back, um, you bring back, what you want to bring back. And then we do a healing if it's traumatic in any way, how you end that life. We do a healing on that so that we can resolve that trauma and allow you to move forward peacefully in this life.
Beautiful. Yeah, I'm really interested in doing that.
Yeah, I would love to work with you.
Great.
Well,
Well,
that'd be pretty cool. It's opened
yeah.
up my mind to to just something I never really was exposed to. So
Cool.
that's one thing. That's cool. One thing cool that Jim does for me. He just helps me meet all kinds of people that I would have never really had a chance to meet or really had a desire. Not that I wouldn't want to meet you, but you know what I mean. I wouldn't be. I don't think we would have crossed paths normally. So it's really good that we're doing this. And hopefully, this podcast and you and, we'll help others out there
Mm-hmm.
if they're in similar situations. So
Yeah, no, I really, really appreciate that. And I'm so grateful that you guys have had me on and have given me the opportunity to speak to anyone out there that needs help or maybe knows someone who needs help. Or, maybe it's not in the area of ETs, but someone who just wants to improve themselves in any way. And, you
Stop
know, it-
smoking, lose weight, all those.
it's,
What other big hypnotherapy jobs or tasks you tackle? What are the biggies?
um, a lot of people a lot of people, sadly, a lot of people struggle with self worth.
Mhm.
They will sabotage themselves. And then, so we can work on that. A lot of that shadow work. And we get in and we dig out, we bring it to the surface and do the healing work. Anxiety,
Mhm.
that's a big one.
Sure.
Um, it's sometimes it's relationship improvement. I'm not a counselor for marriage. I cannot take on couples,
That was our last
but
podcast.
oh,
it was.
okay. Okay. Um, but sometimes people just need help in their relationships. And ultimately it does come down to the self-improvement.
Mhm. Yeah,
So
yeah.
All
yeah,
right.
I do all kinds of work, however you wish to improve yourself. But my focus primarily is ETs. But again, my first hypnosis session was not about that. It
Mhm.
helped to pave the way there.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so we're gonna put all of your information in the comments, all your links, your email, everything you want in there, so people can get a hold of you. And I hope they do reach out
Awesome.
to you. I know I will be. And again, want to thank you so much for coming on our show and sharing. I know a lot of it wasn't easy, but we really appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks, Chris.
Yeah,
Thank you guys so much. It was an honor to be here. I hope you guys have an amazing day.
you do
You
the
too.
same.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank
Nice
you.
meeting you.
Yeah. Bye now. Wow. So that was a pretty fascinating podcast to me. What are your thoughts, Rick?
My thoughts are, I'm not sure if I'm convinced, but I don't really think I have to be. I don't think that was Chris's goal to try to convince anybody that this happened or that. She's not out there proselytizing on, ET babies.
Yeah.
But what she is doing, I believe, is allowing people an avenue to talk to her, uh, and maybe that might go into a different direction in some other subconscious fears or things they might have to deal with in their life. So whether whether it's ET experiences or just or like past what do you call it,
Regression.
past life regression, I think that's all really cool stuff. I'm not really knowledgeable on it, but I'm looking forward to hearing more about it. And, when we get to spend an hour with someone like Chris, it just helps me get
Yeah.
smarter, I think. So, but it was
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah, I agree. Very cool, amazing information. And man, I mean, you're like, where's the motive? I mean, why do it if it didn't really happen? Is my thoughts, and it's like,
Well, I think the devil's advocate would say, well, it's for attention and
yeah, but that's some tough attention to have focused on yourself.
well, and she said she kept it quiet for 25
Well,
years, and this is
sure.
only the second podcast she'd ever done talking about it. So
Hmm.
I don't think there's a con there. And
I
once
don't think
again,
so either.
if there is, where is it?
Yeah,
So
yeah. No,
she came across to me as very sincere, very real, just
I agree.
someone I would like to have as my next door neighbor to hang out with and
Yeah,
talk to over the fence.
seems super nice.
Yeah, really,
Yeah,
seriously. So
yeah. All right. Well, thank you, listeners. We hope you will comment on this episode. Just go to the link below. Also, you can send us a message if you want. If you don't want to be on the open comments for people to see, you can email us directly at yogiandthebeachman@gmail.com. You can even go to our Facebook page. Look us up at Yogi and the, which is our first name, Beachman as our last name.
we're trying to get to 2,000 followers on our Facebook page. Where are we at, Joe?
We're getting close, and we love
What do
that.
we have, like 8?
Yeah, maybe.
All right, we're on our way. We're still trying to get to 2,000.
It's all new. You got to
We're-
start somewhere.
All I'm saying, 2,000 is the goal. Let's make
Yeah.
it happen.
Let's make it happen.
We'll just we'll manifest that.
All right. Well, thanks again, listeners. I'm Jim the Yogi.
Rick the beach man.
Peace.
Nothing's there is. Yeah. All right.